What is up, Pistol Nation? In today's video, we are going to go over the best legendary heroes that you can use in this The Reversed World event that's going on right now, because unfortunately not everybody is lucky enough to get fated heroes with fate cores and stuff like that. I'm looking at myself. So here we go, all legendary heroes that you could use for this event right now. Let's go! All right, my friends, we are here, and we are going to be focusing mostly on breaking the Guardian Stone, the enemy's Guardian Stone. So we're going to look at purples, machines, fires, reds. Those are going to be like our three main types, all legendary. So for the most part, you should be able to obtain these characters fairly easy. So we're going to go into the journal, and we're going to check out these characters. But before we start this video, as always, I'm going to ask that you please pistol whip that like button to help support the channel. Hit the subscribe button for more mobile gaming content, and as always, hit the notification bell, make it ring, because you don't want to miss any of these videos. So we're gonna go to, let's see, legendary heroes only. First one we're gonna go is Darkness. We have Sharpie. We're gonna look at her final hit too. She is an okay character to use for this. Her back row thing deals 336% damage to all back row enemies. Pretty strong. Overall, she's not too bad of a character to use. Now, you're going to notice one thing in particular. We are looking for every character to have the passive to counter. So we want to have a character that has counter, that they can counter. So when they're hit, they retaliate. That's so important, because that's going to get another hit on the Guardian Stone to break them. When you're doing this raid, so to speak, you want to break the enemy boss as much as possible, because you want to stun them. And you know, they have three lengths of health bars, right? So necessarily, depending on your team, you're not going to be able to take all three bars down in one battle. You're going to have to progressively keep damaging it over time. So what I like to say is try and focus on one health bar at a time per event, like attack. So if you're going to go in there, just try and focus on taking it down once, and then that's fine. And then go in there again, and because the stones do change with the health bar. So like the third health bar, it might be red. The second health bar, it might be machine. You know, so then you can put in more dark heroes, more red heroes, so on and so forth. But she's okay. The main dark hero I think that's the best for legendary is Adams. I love this guy. I actually have this guy unlocked. He has the counter right here. So it says counters upon taking damage. So basically, if he takes damage, he will retaliate and attack back, which is so good. Like, that's so important. He also has some really high damage right here. Deals 600% damage to one enemy. Another thing we're going to be looking at is we don't have multiple enemies we're only facing one boss enemy. So AoE damage isn't necessarily going to help us out too much in these battles. We want to have characters who have high percent damage for single targets, because we want to put out as much damage as possible. Adams is a great dark hero for this. For healing, we have Minea. She's okay, nothing too crazy. We have another one that's a healer. She's, you know, not necessarily the greatest. And then we have the Zephyr, which again is just a healer. So we want to mostly look at like the attackers, so to speak. The healers are not really going to do too much. I mean, you can throw a healer in. Some of the healers are okay. We're going to look at the machines next. So one thing I want to talk about is Duncan. This guy is pretty good. Again, he has a counter, which is really good, and he has some really decent single target damage, deals 300% damage, and he has his rocket punch, which deals 204 to all enemies. This is the guy. He's actually pretty good for red. So we're going to back out right now. We're going to go back to our journal. We're going to go back to our legendary heroes. We're going to go back to our, let me go to Justify right here, David Johnson. This is the guy I was talking about. He's really good, and you could get him in the thing. He's got a counter too. Pretty good. Let's go back to the machines real quick. All right, and Duncan, he's another good one. We have Diva, almost like Overwatch Diva. 420% damage to one enemy. Very good. Again, though, she doesn't necessarily have the counter, which is okay. This guy has the thrust too, which is kind of similar to counter. Upon taking damage, he'll deal a percentage damage. It's not too bad. It's not fully like counter. It's not as good as counter. Counter is the best. But again, you're still going to be putting out some damage if he takes, damage, which is cool. Then we got Bayer. Bayer's okay. Czarina, I can't say any of these names. She's not too bad. Again, she's more for like AoE damage. This one's okay though. Deals 294 piercing damage to an enemy. Another thing is the boss is immune to a lot of status effects. So stuff like poison and burn, anything that does damage over time necessarily isn't gonna work, like stuns, like regular stuns. A lot of that stuff the bosses are immune to, which is one thing you have to keep in mind. We have Fergie. She's okay. Yao. This is another really good one. I love this one. Yao, like Yao Ming for the machine. I love that where is it? This one. Increase all allies attack by 32% of own attack for 8 turns. This is so good, right? She buffs all your character's attacks. I highly suggest you use Yao for legendary. Like if you don't have any good faded heroes, she's a very good legendary to use. Super good. She has her final hit, which is okay, and then deals 360% damage to one enemy. The turn resets if the target dies, but again, we're facing the boss. We don't really care about that. What we like is the attack buff, which is very good. Then we have is Yorm. Yorm is okay. And then we have Nika. Nika also has that thrust too, where if she takes damage, she'll put off some more damage, 30%, which is not too bad. 204 to all enemies, 150. That's not too high. And then we're gonna look at the fires real quick. David Johnson again. I said this guy's really good. He's got some really good damage. 240, not bad. 142 to all enemies. That's okay. We got Brooke. Again, Brooke has counter. Very good. Brooke is another one that's really good for fire red. If you need one of these guys, I highly suggest this guy. He does some decent damage. Right here, we got 420 damage to one enemy. That's very good. It does require 3 mana, but really good. We have Otard. Again, Otard has a counter. A lot of these red characters have counters, so a lot of these red characters are very good. This one, Brutal Axe, 420% damage to one enemy. That's a massive amount of damage for 3 mana. It's not too bad. Compared to this one, 285 to all enemies for 5 mana, but we don't really care about that. We're going to be doing that single target damage. Otard is a really good one. Annie's okay. Annie's not too bad. She's just cool because she dances on the pole pretty much. Flame Tornado, I mean, again, damage on all enemies. We're not really worried about that. Zehratard, Zehradin, I'm butchering all these names. He's iffy, not too great for the boss. We have Pan's okay. Gutter does the thrust too. Another one that's pretty decent. Flaming Iron, deal 100% 20 damage to one enemy. It's okay. This one's really good though. Deals 840% damage to one enemy. Again, this is very costly at 5 mana, but that's okay because he puts out a ton of damage, single target damage. I mean, that's a ton. Gutter, he's pretty good. For the raid boss, he's not too bad. That Bloody Flame, pretty good. And we got Luke. Luke's okay. His block too is interesting. Shield of Loyalty is okay. He's more of a solo tank, like a regular tank who he's good for defense, not necessarily for the raid. Gutter is actually pretty good, a good tank for the raid because he's a tank that puts out a lot of damage, which is good. Then we have Scarlet. Again, Scarlet's good. She does Scarlet things. Increase attack based on mana count of all allies, which is good. She has her chain fireball. She has a lot of AoE damage though that's kind of low. That's the only thing. I mean, she's okay, but again, some of these other ones I mentioned are a bit better. Then we have Corgi, focused shot 2, and nothing too crazy. Deal 420 piercing damage to an enemy. That's not too bad. And then we have Pitbull. Pitbull's also got that thrust too, which is pretty good. Burst break, 96 damage to all back row. That really doesn't help us. 210 damage to one enemy. It's okay, but as you can see, some of the better ones were like a Gutter was a really good one for tank. David Johnson's a pretty good one. He puts out some decent damage. What was it? Brooke was okay too. Brooke was pretty good. But I hope y'all enjoyed this video. I didn't want to make it too long. Just go over some of the legendary characters I suggest you use. And if y'all enjoyed this video, make sure you pistol whip that like button, hit the subscribe, blah, 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 peace. Rack it up, I got a bit of the bank to make me a safe house. Shake it up, she got her hands on her knees and she bringing the cake out. Smoke it up.